are celebrating right now our 75th anniversary.
Woo.
We're fighting to stay on. And we welcome you all here tonight for another great presentation. We try to do a lot of fun shows here or with the Egyptian Theater down the street and their sister theater, the Arrow in Santa Monica. A lot of great events. I have a mailing list up front if you want to get on that. There's a Facebook page also under Larry Edmunds Bookshop. We'll keep you up to date on all the shows coming up. Things coming up pretty soon. April 2nd, next Tuesday at the Alex Theater, the first of 5 Tuesdays in a row, James Bond screenings with special guests. It'll be Licensed to Kill, and I'll be there with author Danny Biederman doing a book on Incredible World of Spy-Fi. David Hedison will be doing a Q&A. Other guests for the festival there, George Lazenby, Trina Parks, Maud Adams, a lot of Wood, a lot of good guests. On the 4th, 1 week from tonight in Santa Monica, if you want to make it all the way over there, it's going to be great. We have Mamie Van Doren. She's going to be signing the paperback of Playing the Field. We're showing High School Confidential, Untamed Youth. Great JD double bill. April 7th, which will be a week from Sunday at the Egyptian, our friend Mark Wanamaker, the historian, will be talking about the movie Chaplin. And I'll be down there with a bunch of his books. And then a week from next Tuesday on the 9th, we'll be down there with Debbie Reynolds. She'll be doing a Q&A. I'll have pre-signed copies of her new book, and she'll be talking about Singing in the Rain and Unsinkable Molly Browns for the double bill. Just a few things coming up on the calendar. So feel free to put your name down, and we'll be glad to tell you about everything. As for tonight, we welcome you all here tonight. I have a couple authors that wanted to do some fun stuff, and I thought seemed like we could get a good match here tonight and get more bang for your buck coming out to Hollywood. So I'd like to welcome our authors, Jerry Roberts with the Hollywood Scandal Almanac, and Barbara Schroeder and Clark Fogg will be here with the Beverly Hills Confidential. And we got a great night of fun, bad stuff planned for you right here. We're going to lead it off right now with Jerry. He's going to tell us a little bit about his book, and we welcome you all here. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. When I first came to Hollywood in 1985, I spent a lot of weekend afternoons in Larry Edmunds. It was one of my favorite places to come. And I've looked on the shelves here, and some of my books are still here. So this place has great memories for me. And we come here to see Mark Wanamaker's presentations, who's a friend of mine. And I'm just very glad to be here and to finally actually event here. So, in terms of this Scandal book-themed evening, I'm sort of the warm-up act, the opening act, the band before the band, the sort of the B-movie person before the big studio A production. This book, the Hollywood Scandal Almanac, which was published by the company I work for, the History Press, based in Charleston, South Carolina, came about in an unusual way. The company has a British arm which does a series of books called Day by Day. And they wanted to start that series in America, and I said, well, what about Hollywood? It's a local, the book publishes, or the company publishes local and regional history, so it was all about publishing a book about day by day in your community or whatever community. And I said, what about Hollywood? That's everybody's community. And my second, after we discussed it a little more, I said, well, what about scandals in Hollywood? And so that sort of got the ball rolling, and that's how the book sort of came to be. And he said, send in a proposal, give me a proposal, we'll see what it looks like, and that's exactly what happened. And so we did one per day, 365 days a year of scandals, which was quite a, to narrow it down to that many took a lot of time, and you get four incidences for September 18th, and you don't know which one to use, so you look at them and you say, okay, you know, the arrest, the arraignment, the sentencing, you know, the getting out of jail. So you have a lot of choices where you can place that, and then in that place tell the whole story. So that happened with a lot of incidences. And some of them, I mean, I tried to write these with a kind of a smarmy take. to make it a little more palatable, to make it a little more. But some of them you just can't. They're just so tragic. It's just. In a minute I'll read a couple of examples of one and then the other, and you can take a look. You can see what I'm talking about. But some are just so senseless and ridiculous that they beg for the smarminess and the dry wit or whatever it is in the writing. My presentation also correlates to the B-movie theme in that this is cheap. I don't know. Jeff, how many new books do you sell for $15?
Not many anymore.
$14.99. And it also corresponds to the B-movie theme in that it's tawdry. It's filled with mayhem and avarice and murder and deceit and marriages on the rocks and just everything that's you've heard down through the years. I tried to collect the major stories and put it in one volume for each day.
How far back in time does it go?
Day one. I think the first incident, Chaplin's in there. So is a couple of other ones from the 19 teens. The one line I wrote here on my notes was this one has more scandal per pulpy page than any other book of its kind, which is pretty much true. So I'd like to read a couple of the passages to give you an idea of what's in here. Start out with January 21, 1959. Alfalfa the Debt Collector. Carl Switzer, who played the freckle-faced, cowlick-topped Alfalfa in the Our Gang comedies, became a bartender, a dog breeder, and a bear hunting guide as an adult, and handled hounds for Roy Rogers, James Stewart, and Henry Fonda. In a checkered life, Switzer had been shot outside a San Fernando Valley bar and was arrested for chopping down trees in the National Forest. In his final hours, he tried to collect $50 for finding a dog, and he tried to do it at night, when he was drunk, and unannounced. The owing party was Moses Bud Stilts, who had been hired by famed stuntman and restaurateur Ray Crash Corrigan after the latter received death threats. Crash's wife Rita was present with her son Tom during the attempted debt collection. Bud pulled a gun on after Switzer threatened to kill him. During the scuffle, Switzer was shot in the stomach. He died on the operating table. An inquest ruled the death justifiable homicide. And Carl Switzer, Alfalfa, was 32 years old. Now there's no dry wit or smarminess to add to that. But then we have one of my favorites. September 1, 1955. Frank Sinatra and Joe DiMaggio were having dinner on November 5, 1954 at Frank's favorite Hollywood joint, Via Capri, when Joltin' Joe's private eye reported that Joe's recently divorced on October 7, 1954 wife, Marilyn Monroe, had just ducked into a nearby love nest with her vocal coach. The disgraced Yankee Clipper fired up Frank. Via Capri maitre d' Billy Caron and two pro peepers, Barney Raditsky and Phil Irwin, barged over to the tryst site. This well-oiled crew, about 3 bricks shy of an Ocean's 11 load, kicked down the door to photograph Marilyn in flagrante delicto. Instead, they found Florence Kotz screaming at the breaking and entering by America's 2 most iconic Italian Americans. Oops, just another drinking with Frank 101 field trip would have stayed just that, except Confidential unleashed the story in its September 1955 issue. A libel trial against the scandal rag brought the Wrong Door Raid up again in 1958, the same year that Kotz settled her lawsuit for $7,500. Marilyn, who was ensconced in the upstairs apartment, was divorced at the time, so the photos wouldn't have had any currency at all. another one where you just, at the end of it, you just say, well, some good came out of it, but this is what it took. July 30th, 2007, Rebecca Schaefer's murderer stabbed. Robert John Bardo, serving a life sentence for murdering actress Rebecca Schaefer in July 1989, was recovering on this date after being stabbed 11 times on his way to breakfast on July 28, 2007. The perpetrator was another inmate in Mule Creek State Prison in Amador County, California. As Bardo coagulated beneath his bandages, he could rest on his horrifyingly attained laurels, the knowledge that his stalking and brutal shooting of Schaefer at her Los Angeles apartment had a national ripple effect. Bardo's killing led to California enacting Penal Code 646.9, the anti-stalking law, which then led to all 50 states and the District of Columbia enacting similar laws. Schaefer, the rising star of the TV sitcom My Sister Sam, also had a role in Woody Allen's Radio Days. She was preparing for an interview with director Francis Ford Coppola for a role in The Godfather Part 3 when she opened her door to Bardo's knock. She was 21. And this sort of combines them both, but it depends on how you look at it. The Last Voyage of Steve Cochran, June 25, 1965. Cochran was a noticeable presence in big movies, The Best Years of Our Lives and White Heat, and a rough presence in rough pictures such as Storm Warning and Private Hell 36. This date marked his 10th day in his roughest ever state, decomposition, surrounded by hysterical women aboard his schooner, the Rogue. Guatemalan authorities discovered the drifting craft and guided it into the Pacific port of Champerico. Steve, whose affairs included those with Mae West, Joan Crawford, Merle Oberon, Mamie Van Doren, I think we've heard her name tonight, Ida Lupino, and Kay Kendall, had expired on June 15 after keeping the Rogue afloat for 2 days and nights during a hurricane. He had advertised for an all-woman crew in Variety to make a movie aboard the yacht, but the first group abandoned ship at Ensenada, New Mexico, so he had hired the Mexican replacements for $5.83 a day at Acapulco. The cause of death was acute infectious edema. Some speculated the body wasn't Cochran's, but nobody's seen him since. He was 48. One more?
Sure.
Okay. April 24, 1998. Rumors of his death are premature. During a baseball game on this date, the Pittsburgh Pirates' 23-year veteran broadcaster Lanny Fratteri reported the death of James Earl Jones, and then reminisced about the cavern-voiced actor's role in Field of Dreams. Lanny said he misunderstood when his producer told him that Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassin, James Earl Ray, died. For his gaffe, Fratteri was named Dweeb of the Week by the New York Daily News. But mistaken deaths and death hoaxes are practically a pastime. In 1982, People magazine mistakenly referred to the late Abe Vigoda, which the Barney Miller character actor used for years as shtick, including on Late Night with David Letterman, when Dave tried to summoning Abe's ghost. Vigoda appeared and told the host, "I'm not dead yet, you pinhead." In recent years, hoaxes or mistaken reports declared dead Russell Crowe, Jeff Goldblum, Adam Sandler, Natalie Portman, Jackie Chan, Madonna, Jacqueline Smith, Will Ferrell, and Betty White.
Wow.
Anyway, there's 365 of those little gems. I mean, those are fairly representative. A lot of the very famous Ramon Navarro I just saw. I mean, it's been a long time since I've gone through this, but Audie Murphy, Montgomery Clift, Douglas Fairbanks Jr., Laurence Olivier, Laura Antonelli, James Ferrantino, Frank Sinatra and Charlie Sheen called the neck and neck for the most entries. So I'll entertain any questions if you have any. Sure.
When did you find out about Charlie Sheen?
What did I find out about Charlie? I read the papers. I mean, there's probably 7 entries in here on Charlie Sheen. Various ODs, beating up people.
How many people did he beat up?
I don't have a tally.
Okay, sure.
Friend, his wife.
Okay.
The knife. Yes.
You happen to have Francis Boggs in there?
Francis Boggs. Did you know?
Oh no, he was like, I guess he was a very early director, and he was one of the first directors to really make a name. And he was shot. And although it was ruled as an accident, there had always been speculation that either he committed suicide or that somebody actually killed him. Because he was about to sign a big contract that, he was the first director to really have that kind of fame. And this would have been 1911.
I do have Paul Byrne is in here as well as the Paul Byrne case, as well as jog my memory there. The director got shot in the back.
William Desmond Taylor?
William Desmond Taylor, yes, thank you. Both of those stories are good. But I have collected, you remind me, I have collected enough for a sequel, so.
And it keeps on going, right?
Yeah, so that's, maybe that would be a terrific one for that, so. I guess I'll close by saying the two most difficult things of doing this were writing them short. I mean, just dropping out information and cutting information it was, to me, just fascinating. But we said 170 words per, so it was really tough to do that. The other thing was, as I said, getting one for every date. So I had 12 stapled sets of papers, and I was constantly transferring one to the other to a different date whenever a different date came up. Like I was explaining, the arraignment, the jailing, so you could place it pretty much anywhere you could. But still, it was tough. It was still like a chess game. So, thank you, sir.
Excellent.
Yes.
Putting a book like this together, you're looking for the ones that people are kind of familiar with, so you have an imaginative selling point. But also, since you're doing it every day, you've got to find a few that, of course, many are not well-known people.
Yes.
So do you, when you decide to put that in, do you have to kind of sprinkle in the celebrity stuff?
I never thought that way. I just tried to fill up the dates. But some of the things that Harry Dean Stanton, for instance, was a character actor who was held captive in his own home, which was off the beat. Helen 12 Trees committed suicide. Sonia Davis, the stunt woman who died.
How many suicides overall? Can I ask you that?
I'd say probably a dozen.
Breakdown?
I mean, I've never counted them, but for instance, Brian Keith's mother committed suicide. She was the woman who dove off the Hollywood sign. It turns out to be it was a woman married to Robert Keith who she never told him. She never told him about the son. And Brian Keith turned out to be the son of a suicide, and then he committed suicide. Anyway, thanks. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Just think of all the Facebook facts you'll have for your friends there every day. You'll have one to put
Good
up there.
conversation 3 days.
Right?